Hey everyone, and welcome into the Big Ten Huddle. This is a standalone episode with Sonny Verma from the Illini cast. Sonny told me about some information on Marcus Domask earlier in the week, and it's coming up a little bit more. So what we wanted to do was just put out a short little video, about 10 to 15 minutes, letting you know about what is going on with Marcus Domask and the possibility of him going back to Illinois, or even just to college basketball, most likely to Illinois, and play his 6th year of college basketball. This was something, Sonny, you told me you weren't super confident in, but now it's looking a little bit more likely. What is going on with Marcus Domask's waiver, and why are you a little bit more confident in it happening now than you previously were?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm more confident that it's going to happen now. It's just come out in the open. Jer, I've kind of told you privately a little while back that, these waivers were applied for, and essentially the Domask family, to give the audience who doesn't know what we're referring to, a former Illinois insider kind of tweeted out that he found out that the Domask family had hired some attorneys to apply for like a medical hardship waiver for Marcus Domask. In 2021, he played 10 out of 26 games, and 5 of those games were canceled because of being the COVID year. Now, that's a key point, which we'll circle back on after this. Had those 5 games been played, he would have been under the threshold, and he would be able to essentially apply for this medical hardship, which, it's a waiver that's given to folks. I know it's happened to an Illinois player in the past. I think his name was Mike Thorpe Jr. or something like that. A few years back, I'm dating it now, but in the 90s when I was watching Northwestern, Evan Eschmeyer was a guy who played 9 years in college basketball just because he kept signing up for this exemption. And so that's kind of where we're at. It's information that, some of us kind of were made aware of, but I think a throwaway tweet from a former pretty prominent Illinois insider, they caught Twitter and Illini Twitter once they get information, they ran with it.
So Marcus Domask, obviously he wasn't Terrence Shannon Jr. level this season with, the point scoring and stuff like that, but he did run point for Illinois most of the season. I don't remember if he was running it as much at the beginning of the year, but at least most of the season he was running the point for you guys at the triple-double in the NCAA tournament. Obviously, Illinois will be losing a few, not just a few, some really good players this offseason.
80% of our scoring is going to be gone.
So, just how important is it for Illinois to bring a guy like Marcus Domask back to Illinois next year?
It's huge. Again, 80% of that offense is gone. And, Terrence Shannon Jr., he's going to go play in the NBA. And so Brad Underwood has a huge task in hand right now, trying to basically recreate a brand new team almost from scratch. He's going to be attacking the transfer portal early, and it's going to be much easier to try to replace one of your 2 studs as opposed to replacing both. Obviously there's rumors of us going after some of the big kills out there, like a AJ Store and this and that. But, you run the risk if you pay what AJ Store wants, you bring him into your campus, you don't know if he's going to be a culture fit with Brad and with the rest of the players. You don't have that issue with Marcus Domask. Obviously, he'd immediately probably become the preseason player of the year in the conference. You're talking about a potential All-American basketball player and a guy who you bring him in, then confidently what pieces to surround him with if you want to kind of run the same offense that you ran last year, which was the number 1 and number 2 offense for most of the year. And his return would make Brad Underwood's life so much easier. And mine, as a guy who follows Illinois basketball.
And podcasts about it too, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
I'm sure numbers are much better when Illinois wins.
100%.
Yes. So you were mentioning earlier, Domask has hired attorneys. Was it him or is it his family that's hired the attorneys, or does it really matter?
I don't think it matters.
Okay. But he's talking about the 2021 season where he played 10 of 26 games. 5 of those games were canceled. Are you aware of the history of this kind of waiver with the NCAA? Is this something that other players have gotten? Is this something that's kind of up in the air? Maybe it's not been used as much. What are your thoughts there?
It's happened before. I know that there's an Illini player back then. Hold on, I had it in my notes. I can kind of look it up real quick. Mike Thorne Jr. Got it back in 2016, and it happens on occasion. Now, the problem is Illinois doesn't have very good luck with getting waivers, in particular in any battle with the NCAA. We had a relatively popular story that happened a couple years ago when Luke Ford, who's then a 4-star tight end for Georgia, wanted to come back home and to his ailing grandfather, and the NCAA would not grant his waive to waive like the redshirt year, and so he had to sit a year essentially. The difference is now there's two things that stand here. The NCAA obviously right now does not have much strength in any of the rulings that they make right now. The Sharks are kind of circling them. It's a matter of, are they going to put up a fight on this or not? I don't know. Secondly, the one thing that I'm worried about, and which is why I don't want Illini fans to get too excited about yet, is that it's almost unfortunate timing that season happened the COVID year. The year that technically didn't really count. The other 4 years he played and he didn't get hurt. He played, the whatever amount of games that a basketball player is supposed to play. So the only thing that I'm wondering is if the NCAA attorneys are going to kind of turn it around and point at that instead, saying, hey, look, this is kind of a throwaway year anyway. He got 4 years to play in college basketball. 2021 kind of has an asterisk to it. So I think that's going to kind of be the back and forth between both sides, lawyers, on deciding whether he gets that waiver or not.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Going back to that Mike Thorne case, so I know the rule is that they have to play and compete in more than 30% of teams' games, and an injury must occur in that situation. What was the injury that Marcus Domask had in the season that would be able to get him to get the waiver, or was there no injury?
No, it was an injury. I just don't know what it was. He was obviously playing for Southern Illinois at the time, so it's a guy who I've become a fan of once he started wearing the orange and blue. Right. But I don't know about his injury history. I just know that he was hurt and he missed the rest of the season once he got hurt.
Interesting. I know John Gross back then, I found a quote where he said, the NCAA deserves a ton of credit in this situation as they have made a decision that is without question in the best interest of student athlete. 2016 might have been the last time a coach said something good about the NCAA.
That might have been the last time they ruled in our favor too. So
yeah, exactly. Let's just talk about the NCAA for a second, because they've been going to court recently a good amount. And typically, like in the past, when the NCAA goes to court, student athlete and things like that, it does not end well for the NCAA. One of the biggest cases lately being the Tennessee NIL case with college football. I know our college basketball fans might not know the most about that, but essentially the NCAA was trying to tell Tennessee that they couldn't do some of their practices they had in NIL paying players, and Tennessee said, well, we're going to take you to court. And of course the NCAA went to court and they lost. Just the pure fact that the Domask family is taking the NCAA to court, in your mind, has to be a positive here, because like I said, the NCAA just typically at the end of the day, they don't do very well in court. How much is that playing a factor in your mind? Just the fact that they're going to be in court and the NCAA is going to have to stand in front of a judge and say student athlete again, when even more stuff is falling apart around them with that phrase.
I think that's the reason for optimism. When I found out about the waiver application about a little over a month ago, the folks who were kind of tied in with the basketball team, they weren't very optimistic. I think the fact that it's gotten to the level where attorneys are involved now, where lawyers are going to be doing all the talking, that tells me that they might feel a little bit more confident than they did a month ago. As you said, right now, the NCAA is just hitting below the Mendoza line when it comes to, defending anything when it comes to college athletics. And I don't know if this is a big enough deal in the grand scheme of things that they want to take another L here in a court case, when I think they have a lot bigger things that they kind of want to worry about. but I don't know. Again, he is going to, like, again, if he is granted that waiver, he's going to be a preseason All-American, and then you have other guys in similar situations like Cam Spencer. Like, he could probably apply for the same exception. So a lot of eyes are going to actually be on this case now. So the NCAA's got to pick and choose what battles that they want to fight, because the more losses that pile up, the faster they're just kind of drowning themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. They're drowning themselves with everything that's going on, and at the end of the day, they don't have enough firepower to keep fighting all of these things, and so that's why we kind of see the mass chaos and hectic nature of college athletics right now, which obviously nobody wants to see, but in situations like this, it could end up well for Illinois fans. Sonny, I think you answered all of my questions. I appreciate you coming on, talking about this a little bit. Obviously, as somebody who wants good Big Ten basketball, I do hope that Marcus Domask makes it back. I feel a little, I kind of want guys to stop having their 6th year and stuff like that. But then when I hear stories like this about a team that I like and a player that I like, I'm like, man, I do kind of want to see him come back. So any final thoughts on Marcus Domask and the NCAA stuff going on there before we get out of here?
No, I do think a bigger deal is being made out of it right now, compared to it just kind of being an innocent tweet that was given out that just kind of caught storm. I wouldn't be super excited yet if you're an Illini fan. More excited than a month ago. Right. But with the NCAA, again, you just never know. Obviously, Brad's going to have to kind of hold ground until he gets a ruling, because you're talking about significant portion of his NIL funds either being reserved for Domask, or he can use that allotment to get another, big catch out there. So just hold on to your seats, Illini fans. This is going to be another off season where the roster is going to be transitioning, a pretty great deal, but that's just kind of what Brad Underwood does. And, hopefully, for tonight, at least we're going to all celebrate the women's winning the inaugural WBIT tournament. So congratulations to the Lady Illini. And then we'll just kind of hold our breaths and see what happens with this Domask situation.
Very good. All right, Sonny, thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it. Why don't you tell people where they can find Illini Cast at?
Yeah, Illini Cast. We're on YouTube. We're on Spotify, Apple. Anywhere you find your content, we're there. We've recently signed on with Armchair Illini. If you're looking for written content, they do a great job over there. So definitely follow us. I'm shooting out videos basically on a daily basis now as it comes. I had a video on Jake Davis 15 minutes after he committed to the Illini, and that got almost 4,000 views. So I'm going to keep doing that all off season long.
Very good. Yeah, go check out Sonny, one of the best in covering the Illini basketball and football, covering them over at the Illini Cast. Appreciate it, Sonny. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for watched and listened. Have a good one, everybody.